So Lego and Star Wars are making another film, like the holiday special, called Terrifying Tales. And the last one was actually really good. I really enjoyed the holiday special. So now they're gonna redo the Terrifying Tales, and I'm, like many people, excited for it. Whenever Lego and Star Wars do this, the question always comes up, how canon is this? When the Freemakers came out, people were like, oh, I'm gonna watch this only if this is canon. And they, to this day, have questions, what part is canon, what part is not. For the holiday special, especially people who are sequel fans looking for more sequel content are confused whether or not if this is canon. Now, even though there's not a for sure answer, I am taking a lot of context clues and I'm going to try my best to answer that. Now, first of all, let's get out of the way. What do we know is 100% canon? Well, we know that the characters themselves are canon. Gerbala the Hutt is canon, Roger's canon, and the Freemakers are also canon. So taking that information and expanding on it, I want to bring up something else, and that is the Lego Star Wars video games that come out. Now, we know that these are not canon, but what they do is they take canon events and, they kind of over-exaggerate them to a high degree. Like we saw in the Force Awakens game, they took a comic and they over-exaggerated it and make it fun, but the basis of the story is still there. The droid died for C-3PO, and C-3PO took his arm to remember him. With that knowledge, we can apply it to literally the holiday special, the Freemakers, and also the Terrifying Tales. So, with that information, I would say a lot of the stuff that we see in the Freemaker Adventures is canon. Now, some of it is, of course, over-exaggerated for kids, but I would say quite a few of the stories are. One that we know that is probably canon is the one with Hondo, because we know that Hondo has been to Mos Kanata's castle many times by the fact in the Battlefront 2 games, he has his own painting in there. So we know that Hondo's a frequent visitor. So I would say that story and most of the stuff surrounding it is canon. Now, going on that fact, how canon is the story that the Freemaker Adventures is trying to do? If you don't know, the story is Ronan is basically the kid of two other Freemakers, they're junk builders. On one salvage mission, he found this special kyber crystal that turns out to be for the first lightsaber. Someone he thinks is a Jedi discovers him, tries to teach him the ways of the Force. It turns out that person was an agent of Darth Vader, and they were trying to get the lightsaber to Palpatine. A few yada yadas later, the lightsaber's destroyed. Now, taking this into account, Nara is probably an Inquisitor, and that's how we take her. I hope that, we see her in future events, because Star Wars right now is taking some of these Lego characters and making them canon. Like they did with Roger, he had his own book, and he talks about all the Freemakers. He actually wrote that book in the Star Wars universe. Going past the Freemaker Adventures, what about the holiday special? I feel like if we take the broad strokes of the holiday special, everything will still be true. I don't think that Rey actually went back in time, but I think what did happen is that she got a bunch of visions while she was training around Life Day, and she was struggling to train Finn in the ways of the Jedi. I think if we take that, then it is true. What we see is canon. And then the Terrifying Tales is kind of harkening back to a comic that gets released every single year, where it's like Tales from Vader's Castle, where it's basically these group of people are telling stories about the events that happen in Star Wars, and everything is greatly exaggerated. I like the idea that everything's greatly exaggerated, because that's literally like how Lego is, in my opinion. Anyway, the story is Poe Dameron crashes on Mustafar, and Gerbala the Hutt, a character from the Freemaker Adventures that, again, we know is canon, is trying to make a Star Wars hotel, which I love that idea, since the fact that, the Star Wars hotel that's just now being released is going to cost $6,000. Besides the point, he's trying to make it to, this Sith retreat, and he's actually going to, use it, and, Vinay is going to tell them stories, and, that's basically the broad story of what's going to happen. I would say, basically, parts of that are true. I think Gerbala the Hutt bought Darth Vader's castle, but probably struggled with it. So again, if we take the broad strokes of what happens in these Lego Star Wars TV shows, they are canonical. But that's just the best way I can answer it. That if we take the broad strokes like we do in the video games and say those stories are technically canonical, just, greatly exaggerated, we can do the same thing with the Freemakers and all the holiday specials. That's really it. I know this one's kind of rambly, but, if you want to see more rambly content, then, like or whatever. Anyways, I'm leaving. Bye-bye.